So you have the Sony ZV-E10 or a similar Sony Aps-C camera, and you want to try to figure out what are going to be your best stabilization options. This is the video for you. Hey, traveling on, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking out this particular video. I'm excited to talk about the Sony ZV-E10. Now, I've owned it for a little over a year, and when I originally purchased it, it was really something that I wanted to kind of sink my teeth into, try to start understanding, ISO and aperture and shutter speed, etc. And I've learned a lot owning the Sony ZV-E10. But I recently purchased the Pocket 3 and the DJI Action 4, and that's kind of taken a lot of my interest and focus. But I did want to give some love to the Sony ZV-E10. Now, we're going to talk about 3 different ways that you can basically get some good stabilized footage for your Sony ZV-E10. I'm going to break this kind of 2 parts into 2 videos. Tonight we're going to do a night comparison, and then in the next couple days I'm going to do a daytime version of this. So the first one that we're going to be doing is just regular active stabilization. The next one we're going to do is the gyroscope, the catalyst browse, and we are going to be jumping up that shutter speed to 1/200. And then the third one that we're going to be doing is the DJI Ronin RS3 Mini Gimbal. We're going to attach the Sony ZV-E10 to the gimbal, and this will give you all an idea on what your stabilized options are for the Sony ZV-E10 or a similar Sony Aps-C camera. Okay. Let's take a look at the settings. So I'm using the Pocket 3 to record the screen, while I'm using the DJI Osmo Action 4 to record myself. So let's first of all take a look and see what we're doing. We're doing 24 frames per second at 100 megabits, a 4K. That way we keep the least amount of crop possible. And then in terms of, I wanted to show you all, in terms of white balance, we are going to use the gray card. Let's set that. Okay, so it looks like it's set at 3400 Kelvin. I will keep that. Now, what I'm not gonna do is I'm not going to do any picture profile. We're just gonna keep it simple. I know for a lot of you, you may want S-Log or HLG. We do have, as you can see, 1/50, f1.8. So I do have it set at auto ISO 125 to 1600 right now. So now we want to make sure that we do the setting for the active stabilization. So all you really need to do is just go into your active stabilization and turn that on, and then we will have active stabilization on. Okay, so we're gonna do our first sample. Bear in mind that this is all coming from a vlogging perspective, so I'm not gonna be trying to do the ninja walk or keep things super stabilized, but this is active stabilization. Let's do our first test. So we're coming along here. Hopefully the micro jitters doesn't look too bad. I'm really hoping that. So anyway, there we go. Let's flip it around now into selfie mode. All right, here we go with selfie mode. I will note that I'm using the Ulanzi MT44. That affiliate link from Amazon will be down below. It's a pretty cool little selfie stick. But how's it doing with selfie mode? I'm trying to look directly at the camera, but this is going to give you the idea of what it's going to look like in active stabilization. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we are going to do the catalyst browse. So with catalyst browse, you want to make sure you turn off all your stabilization. So we will turn off the active stabilization. And another thing you want to do with catalyst browse that a lot of people might not realize is that in order to really mitigate those micro jitters and get the best out of the catalyst browse. You're not going to be able to really follow motion blur. So you're going to want to do the shutter speed a bit higher. So for example, we're doing 4K 24. We're going to set our shutter speed to a minimum of 200. So we'll move up our shutter speed to 200. Everything else, we're going to keep the same. All right. So now we're going to be doing the bumped up shutter speed for catalyst browse. Bear in mind, we are now at 1/200 with the active stabilization turned off. So let's see how this handles. The one time that I tried the catalyst browse, I did not understand that you had to bump up that shutter speed. So the results weren't too good, but I'm really curious to see how this turns out. All right, we're now in selfie mode. Now, of course, we'll probably have to do at least a minimum of a 5% crop on the catalyst browse. But how is this looking? Very, very curious and pretty excited to see how this handles without a gimbal and active stabilization. Set at 125/1600 with a 1/50 f1.8, and then you can see we're doing 4K 24, and this will be the setting for the and also we do not have active stabilization on. This is a setting for our gimbal. Okay, so now we have the gimbal all balanced, and we are going to do the example with the gimbal. This is the DJI Ronin RS3 mini gimbal. I have the active stabilization turned off with the shutter speed at 1/50. So yeah, let's do this. This obviously, I think this should be the best result. But the only thing with this is that you are looking at a much bigger payload, and your arm could get a bit tired if you are vlogging with this. All right, now let's go into selfie mode. All right, we're now in selfie mode. I really wish this had what the ZV-E1 has. Maybe the ZV-E10 Mark II will have it, but the kind of the self-tracking, that way you don't have to worry about keeping yourself in frame. But how is this doing for the gimbal? Does the gimbal win? There you have it. There are the three examples. All right, as I usually do, I like to chime in here. When we are looking at the three different settings, of course, active stabilization is a complete loser during the evening time. In the daytime, you will see that active does do a bit better, but at nighttime, those micro jitters definitely stick out. Right after these three setting comparisons, I'm going to jump to a two setting comparison between the catalyst and the gimbal. As for the active stabilization, when you're focused on a selfie shot, you don't notice the micro jitters as much. Stick around and we will compare the catalyst and the gimbal. Well, I have to say that Catalyst certainly surprised me. I've only given Catalyst a try a few times, but I don't think I knew about the bumped up shutter speed. But looking at this night comparison with Catalyst, I have to say, if you don't own a gimbal, Catalyst is not a bad option. Obviously, look at this. It's almost as close to what you can get from the gimbal. And if you've got that selfie stick like I have extended as far as it is, the crop is not that bad. So, wow, props to Catalyst. Well, there you have it, folks. That is the test of the three different camera comparisons. I am using the DJI Ronin gimbal currently, and I'm kind of spoiled with the Pocket 3 because it will auto frame me if I need to when I'm doing kind of like a walk and talk. But one cool feature I noticed, I do have the DJI Mic 2, the one that came with the transmitter, 2 transmitters and a receiver. And when I was watching people review that DJI Mic 2, is they were stating that there were different cameras that were kind of pre-selected within the receiver to kind of show you the suggested volume settings. And I wasn't sure if the Sony ZV-E10 would be part of that selection, but I was pleasantly surprised to find that the Sony ZV-E10 was in fact in the DJI Mic 2 receiver option. So for you ZV-E10 owners and thinking about getting the DJI Mic 2, that's pretty cool. So you got to give it to DJI. Of course, I have been a DJI dude in the last few months, but I have to say that I'm really appreciating my mirrorless camera. And that's kind of why I wanted to kind of do this comparison. I hope that it brought some value to you all. Yeah, please let me know any thoughts, comments down below, any questions that you may have, any feedback that you can teach me as well. I hope this brought some value to you. If it did, please smash that like button. Yeah, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I look forward to more videos that I can bring to you all. In the meantime, as I always like to say, please stay safe. God bless. Peace.